No, we have
Unless we do the whole soccer episode.
soccer. We still have the
Yeah.
dog show. We have
That's right, that's right.
we never. I mean, we're live, but we never talked about
Okay.
baseball shortening. We got a lot of subjects to cover, and we haven't been covering
Yeah,
them because we've been doing basketball so much. Okay, let's just get right into it.
great. Yeah.
Siddhuey Reviewy live with your host, the one and only Justin Sidhu.
What's up? Let's do it. I'm happy to be here.
All right, we're gonna get right into it. Golly, I'm gonna zoom in. It's unfortunate, but the NBA season is over. It's unfortunate because the NBA season
Yeah.
is over, Sadu. I didn't mean that as a shot yet.
Well, I didn't take it as one.
Okay. And the West has won. There's a positive. The Denver Nuggets defeated the Miami Heat in a 4-1. I mean, let's just call it a sweep because it pretty much was. I mean, they lost one game 2, right?
Uh, yes, game two, and you could say it's a gentleman's sweep. That's what we call a 5 game
A gentleman's sweep.
thing. So the cool image is basically a broom, but with a little tie around the broom. Right? So just imagine a solitary tie just around that broom. That's what we call a gentleman's sweep. So yes, it was a gentleman's sweep. Not that like exciting of a series, if I'm being honest. The basketball nerd in me like certainly enjoyed a lot of aspects of it, and Jokic's greatness being one of them. But like, I think for a casual fan or someone who doesn't have a dog in the race, like you need.
Whoa! Hold on here. Dog racing, I'm pretty sure, is illegal in California. So you step it back. Let's say horse. Let's say horse.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I was like, is that the phrase? I was like, I totally thought. I was like, is that the phrase? I don't know. Like,
I don't know. I
dog.
was just making the joke because dog racing.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
pretty
you're
sure
right.
it's illegal here,
Well,
right?
Greyhound racing.
I don't think it's Greyhound. I think it's in other states, but I don't think California has Greyhound racing.
Really?
Yeah, you know, like how like we have horse
Okay.
racing, but
Yeah.
we don't technically have casinos. Nevada does. We have
Mhm,
Indian casinos on Indian territory or whatever, and that's their way of
mhm.
getting around it. But there's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
gambling has all these weird laws where like it's like state by state, and I don't think
Mm.
we have dog racing. It's not like it's cockfights that are like straight up illegal
Yeah,
nationwide.
illegal. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, or dog fights. We're not Michael Vick over here, right? But I was just making
Yeah.
we're totally off subject right now.
No, but
Back to basketball.
okay, yeah. It's still a good point to make, though. That we don't have that. But anyway, if you don't have a horse in the race,
There we go.
if you don't have one, it was a relatively, I think, uneventful and boring series. Like I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and he was just like, "Yeah, this is just kind of like boring. Like it's like who's gonna win, and there's no real drama in it." And so I think that's the disappointing thing in the overall series. But you get what you get, and Miami was never really. They really shouldn't have been there. But they deserve to be there. It's weird. It's like a weird like thing where it's like they're an 8 seed. They shouldn't have been there, but then they did beat the teams to get there, so they deserve to be there. Whatever. But yeah, them losing was kind of inevitable. I think the discussion that is more interesting is just the Nuggets and what this means for them. People have been talking about, oh, the Nuggets are going to start a dynasty and all that. Like, I don't know if that's true or not. Like, plenty of times a team who wins a championship, it always looks like, yeah, they're going to win the next ones. And then they never really do. It's rare to see actually defending champions in the NBA. So I don't know what's the future of the Nuggets. But the present, like for what they did in this finals, it's really amazing. Like, look, they went 16-4 in the playoffs. That's one of the best records you're going to see in the playoffs anytime, like anywhere. Nikola Jokic is the first player in NBA history to lead the postseason in points, rebounds, and assists. First player ever. When you consider the names that have played basketball, and this guy's the first player ever to do something, it speaks to the greatness of Nikola Jokic, right? Jamal Murray coming back from a torn ACL, people thinking his career was over, like not playing for basically 2 years, and then having this moment in the NBA Finals and having this postseason that he had, like you got to feel good about what they like. As a neutral person, you got to be like, that's pretty cool, man. Like what they accomplished was really cool. Aaron Gordon, who was cast as a misfit, local guy, San Jose guy, right? But
Addie's dude.
Addie's dude, but like cast as this kind of misfit in Orlando, this guy who couldn't kind of get right, basically. But he finds his perfect home in Denver. Like he's a perfect fit to Jokic and what they do, and it's like it's showing the best of his abilities. Like as a basketball fan, it's really cool when you see a guy find his home, like find his home, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like where he belongs. That's really cool. Like Klay Thompson, he'd be great anywhere, but like Golden State's kind of his home and the way that they play and the style that they have, it fits him so well. Draymond Green's the best example of this. Draymond Green at 29 other teams is not the Draymond Green that you love and know, right? But at this team, with what they need and his skill set, it's perfect, right? It's a perfect, and that's exactly what Aaron Gordon found. So I think it's really cool of them winning and how they won, and how much of a team they are, and that goes to Nikola Jokic. To this point, one of the things I love about Steph Curry and Tim Duncan is like they seem like really great guys, like laid back, cool dudes who and can play with any teammate and any type of personality because they're chill guys to be around. LeBron, not so much. Kobe, not so much, right? They don't have that, but Steph, like one of the things I really admire about him is like he has that about him, Jokic is probably the biggest example of this. So humble in everything like that he does. Like he is just some guy, like he plays so unselfishly, passes the ball all the time to his teammates. Even when he has a shot, he's like, no, let you could go score. Go for it. And because he is so unselfish, everyone plays harder around him. They cut harder. They defend harder because they enjoy playing with this dude. So it speaks so much to his personality and who he is and just how great he is that they were able to win. So I just want to give him his flowers really quick and give that team their flowers because that's really amazing. For Miami, just really quickly, great run, one of the craziest runs we've ever seen. But if they're going to want to make another run back here, I think they're going to need a retool. I've heard Damian Lillard's name connected to that. We talked about that last week. Maybe that happens. But I think overall, just my thoughts on Denver winning, and I'm curious to know what you think as well, is like, I just think congratulations to them. Well deserved. They were dominant and deserving and like a great group of guys too. You can't really hate on any of their guys, I feel like. Well, except for Michael Porter Jr., who's a hella anti-vax.
What about Caldwell CP?
ACP,
Yeah.
Contavious Caldwell Pope. Yeah.
Thank you.
NBA champion.
Again.
The second time. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well deserved.
Yeah, that's the thing. I won't argue that it was well deserved for the team overall. As we spoke about last week, I know we're about to get into it, and I think it's the next link over, right? Or 2 over. Which one's this? This is nobody likes their job. Maybe they do. They're lying. See, it's comments like that I just
he's the hero of our time. Let me frame this really quick. Let me frame this first before you jump in.
Okay.
I want to frame this really quick, okay? As a basketball fan, as someone who just really loves basketball, I can always appreciate great basketball players, even if I don't necessarily love their personality. Like I can always do that. And Nikola Jokic's basketball is magical to me. It's just a magical style of play. It's the kind of it's Steph Curry of big men in a way. You know what I mean? Like it's just let's give him a shot. Canada Dry, baby.
I'm trying to get that sponsorship. I'm sorry, so do continue on.
No, we need it. Any money coming in will help.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Free soda. I mean, free Canadian Dry would just help. But yeah.
Anything. We'll take anything.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Not beggars can't be choosers.
That's what we are over here, man. That's what we are over here.
So Jokic. So I can appreciate his style of play. And I can appreciate all of that, right? And I think his personality, him saying things like, we got the job done, it's great, I'm ready to go home and do it and leave and go like run with his horses, right? Or play with his horses. That's real. I don't think that's fake. Like some of these guys in the NBA who try to act like they're super chill, they're faking it. They are faking it to a degree. Giannis, who I love, his shtick of being like, I'm just the funny foreign guy. It's now kind of become a little bit more of a shtick than his natural personality. When he first came in, it was like, hey, I like Jamba Juice or whatever it was. I like smoothies.
Yeah.
Like it's different. It's more of a commercialized, manufactured thing. We all know LeBron is pretty manufactured to a degree.
Taco Tuesday. Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
Yes, you've seen it.
Yeah.
So it's like when you like, so you see these guys all kind of manufactured. The one thing you can say about Nikola Jokic, he is 100% who he is. And in an Instagram world where everything is fake and all these celebrities are fake, I just appreciate honesty and I appreciate realness in like the fullest way. What he is real. And him wanting to be this guy who totally just is like he doesn't want to be involved with the media. He just wants to literally play basketball and then go home. Like that's literally all he wants to do. I can accept that as a basketball fan, and I can respect it because that's who he is. I can totally respect that for who he is. However, I think basketball players, especially the elite ones, have a greater responsibility than just showing up and playing basketball and then going home. I think they owe it to the rest. Like, look, Nikola Jokic loves his $200 million contract. Now, I will say this about Nikola Jokic. If the best player in the league was like, let's say Michael Jordan, LeBron were like Jokic, where they don't want to talk about anything, they just want to go play basketball and go home. I think we would all agree that the amount of money that the league has would be less than what it has right now, right? If they didn't do all that they do to promote the league,
100%.
to push the league, 100%. I think we can 100% agree that those guys' salaries the whole league salaries would drop. Now, Nikola Jokic, if you told him, hey, bro, you not going to the media and you're not doing this shit means that you won't make $250 million a year. You're only going to make $200 million. Are you okay with that? He would say, yes, I am. And I promise you he'd be telling the truth. He'd be telling the truth. But here's the thing I would ask Nikola Jokic to think about, and I'd put this to him. But are you okay with that 13th guy on your roster who currently is making $300,000 now dropping out at $250 or $225? Right? Like, think about him. Like, that's a huge drop for someone like that. You from 250 to 250 million to 200 million, that's nothing. That's nothing for you because you're already, at that point, you just got money.
Yeah.
Right? But the guy who's at the 13th guy on the team who's making $300,000 and now he's dropping to $200,000 or something, or now there's less roster spots or something like that affects those lower income guys. And those guys and a lot of the league are going to appreciate if Nikola Jokic were to do more to push the league, to promote the league, right? And I'm not talking about his lack of emotion at the end of the game. That's okay. How a person perceives their happiness, I'm never going to like hold that against them. You don't have to experience joy how I experience joy or anything like that. It's you as a person. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. But what I do care about, to some degree, if I were someone who cares about the league making more money, which I honestly don't care as a fan. I'm sorry, I just don't. I just want to watch basketball. I don't really give a shit how much money they make. That's just me.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit. But like the players do, the league does, right? The overall growth of the league does. They care about this kind of thing, right? Him not doing interviews, really, like him not doing outside interviews, him not being in commercials, him not.
The commercials, real quick. I can understand commercials, but interviews in the parade, that's where we get to a different thing.
I want to get to the parade in a second too. But we'll touch on that.
All right, go on.
I still want to frame this just for a second, okay? But I want to make this point. So him not doing all of those things affects how we push the league, right? How we push the league and whatever it is. So I think that is something that he has to consider to a degree, because look. The harsh reality for Nikola Jokic, he's too damn talented to not care. Now, look, Kawhi Leonard's been in the league for a long time, and he's been great, and he never cares about this stuff, right? He's never cared. So this is not particular to Nikola Jokic. This has happened with other guys, right? Now, I'll say this. So all of that being said, like I think there's a value to doing more than what Nikola Jokic is doing, right? Let's take Tom Brady. Tom Brady's never been very public at all. Think about Tom Brady's career while he's been in his career. Now, you think about his last couple of years, and you probably say, oh, he's been done more media. Yeah, because he knows he's about to retire. He needs to find some fame and move on. If you look at the most of his career, he's never really done much media. But he became a household name. Now, how did that happen? Because he just kept making the finals over. He kept making it to the Super Bowl over and over again. And eventually, even if you don't do media, we just have to talk about the dude who keeps making the championship game over and over again. So if Nikola Jokic wants to circumvent not doing promotion, he can probably circumvent that by just making the championship game. But that being said, that still won't probably be enough. You still need to do some promotion, even if you were to be the guy making the championship game over and over. So that's one part. I just want to frame that. So that's just one like chunk. I want to put that here. Okay. Now I want to get to the parade part. Okay. I want to talk about both parts. So actually, why don't we do this? Before we get to talk to the parade, on the part about promotion and what I said about his natural personality, how do you feel about what I just said about that part? We'll get to the parade later. We'll parade a second. Well, but just that. How do you feel?
First, let me say a couple things because I have to. Because I got you and Jer. We were live last night over the show. Watch the other show if you don't. Gave me a hard time for not reading chat. O'Malley's in the chat. O'Malley has things to say.
I just said, yeah. Let's go ahead. Read his things out. I'm reading it.
I'm only bringing it up. Okay, you read it. So we've both acknowledged BK's comments. We're acknowledging BK's comments. BK said it was disrespectful for the league, for history of the finals, which is pretty much just history of basketball. But it makes some good sound bites, and they're hilarious. I agree with everything BK just said right there. I wanted to just point that out off tops. I've acknowledged chat. No one get upset with me for not reading chat. It's out there. I everything you just spelled out, Siddhuey, I totally agree. Partially. I think when it comes to doing interviews after the game about the game, I partially think you should. Now, if you just want to do I know. If you want to do just the press conference and you don't want to do one with Sports Illustrated afterwards, that's your prerogative. Go for it. Sure, why not? Now, as far as it goes to doing commercials and sponsorships with corporations, that's on him. And I don't disrespect someone who doesn't necessarily want to do them with corporations, especially, let's say, if they're evil corporations or you have an actual political agenda and you're going, hey, you know what? Amazon isn't great for society. It's putting a lot of stores out of business, whatever it may be. I don't want to promote that. That's fine. But the next subject that you're going to get into, that's where I start to have an issue, a personal issue. Okay. So you could get into that now.
Okay, I will. But just on what you just said for a second before we get to the parade. Just on what you just said. So I don't think, like, if he needs to do promotion for the league, right, what part of that has to be, part of that
sometimes I just say stuff, BK. It's night 2 of me being live. It's all blending together now, Beaks. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just falling apart over here.
But like, what I would say to your point is about him, not doing interviews and stuff. Look, you have to craft a story around you. That's part of what you're selling to people, is you're selling a story of your journey to the finals, to whatever you're doing. It's a story around you. If we don't know your story, or if you don't tell it, if you don't bring it to us in some sort of interesting way, all you are then at that point is like literally like an entity that just shows up in games and plays, and you just kind of go home and it's like, well, that's cool, but how do we shape this narrative, right? We know he doesn't care about being the greatest of all time, that kind of thing. Whereas like LeBron, for example, has told us from the very beginning, and part of his story is like he's a chosen one. His whole thing is I'm gonna take the throne. Right now, I'm not here to debate whether or not he got there. The point is we have a narrative around his story, and through that arc, we've been able to frame his whole career. Right, the man chasing the man. Right? So whatever it is.
That's a weird way to put it, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah. The man chasing the man.
We had an arc. As Steph Curry rose to prominence, we have a story about Steph Curry, right? The overlooked guy who played it at a small college, glass ankles, right? Came and brought this all together, revolutionized basketball in the process.
3-point king.
Yeah, we have a story again. And it's a story that we all love. The whole nation obviously loves this. The world does. And that's why he's one of the preeminent players, in basketball. So Jokic has to share his story. So your point about, your part about not going to Sports Illustrated. No, he's going to have to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying.
You're going to tell that story,
Well, let me ask you this real quick. Because with they're not doing corporate stuff, commercials and stuff, the league can't find him, neither can his team. Are you suggesting that the NBA and the league, my bad, that's the same thing. No. The league and the team need to give him a penalty?
No, you don't want to penalize.
You, yeah.
No. You don't want to penalize someone into doing it. What you need to do is have a conversation with him behind the scenes. But just a conversation.
Real quick, to step in real fast. You do, and I want you, because you know the rules here better than I do. You are penalized if you don't do the press conference directly after the game.
He does those. Yeah. He does. So okay. He's doing the media obligations that are necessary for him not to get fined, right? Almost like Marshawn Lynch. He's actually a little bit better of an interview than Marshawn Lynch, but to that degree, he's just doing what he's doing to not get fined, right? But what he has to understand is you're going to have to do more than that, right? Yeah. You have to. And that's what's unfair. You have to do it. Jamal Murray even probably doesn't have to. You know what I mean? Like Michael Porter doesn't have to, but you do.
Because they might want to. They're just they're not the chosen one.
We tell the story through the star.
Yeah.
We like how the NBA works. Yeah. We tell the story through the star. So look, bro, I'm sorry, Jokic, your talent has brought you a greater burden than you probably wanted, but that's life, dog. I'm sorry. Right? God blessed you, and now we have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I mean? Sorry to say, right? Okay, so that's that part. So kind of like to the parade.
And I want to start. That's the next one. That's the next one. Is that this one?
I think it's the next one that we had right there, right?
Okay. I don't. Yeah.
The Monday through Thursday thing, and that whole article. But the point being is Nikola Jokic. If you haven't seen, I think BK's obviously seen it.
Real quick, Addie's also here. Acknowledging chat, baby. Jokic looked like he lost after he won the chip. His face was motionless. Jokic's brothers were the highlight.
Yeah.
Continue.
So I want to talk about Addie's point too, the Jokic brothers. So one of the things I always think too is sometimes there are people who they can just openly express their joy with everyone, and that's how they are. And there's other people who are really shy and only express it with people they love, right? That's just how it works for some people. I did notice that when Jokic's brothers came out, he was far more smiling and happy at their presence. And you could see what it meant to their family. And that was one of the few moments where I was like, damn, that's a pretty impactful thing for that whole family. Would love to have a story behind it, so I could know more and care more, but just seeing the image was cool enough, I guess. But that was a pretty awesome moment to see the way Jokic was reacting with his brothers. You could tell that was something that really was important to that whole family, right? But Jokic, so to the point about Jokic in the parade, though. First of all, Jokic's not from America.
No way.
No, but this is important to know. He's from Serbia. I want to say this. One of the main motivating factors in my life is getting back home. Wherever I am, it's how can I want to go back home. So I always want to get back home. It's a motivating factor in my life. I don't begrudge someone for being you guys at some place I want to get back home. I want to go home. Especially if where you are from and where you actually live is a whole other country. He doesn't live here. If I you know what this is why I always ask people. If you watch all the NBA, all the American basketball players who play in China or Taiwan and stuff, when their season ends, their asses wants to come back home too. They're not celebrating in Taiwan for a week. They're I want to go back home and get to where I'm actually from. So I don't think it's weird for someone who's not from here to want to go home. Just as a point. I also don't think it's weird for someone who didn't grow up in America to think that winning a championship is somehow the biggest achievement in his life. One of the things we know about Jokic is when he was growing up and he told his dad, I want to be a horseman. He's I wanted to do with horses. But his dad's you're getting hella fucking big. Go play basketball. You'll be a horseman later. So part of basketball to him is just that it is his job. He just happens to be so goddamn brilliant at it that he can just dominate without really breaking a sweat. But I don't think winning a championship is like the sole goal in his life the way it is for an American kid growing up in America. So I just want to say that part too. But his idea, I want to go back home. Bro, he's been here for 8 months. I can understand wanting to go home if you don't live here. So I don't think the parade thing is that weird to me. It's just like I want to go home. I I get that, and I can see you shaking your head already as it is. But yeah, you know what I mean. Like
I
I can see what the chat, but was also saying, but like I get it.
I
It's
mean,
just
I think it's hard for you because you don't even live where your team actually is from. So you wouldn't
yeah,
go.
he's not close
You're not
country.
going to the parade regardless. Lakers win, you're not there. You don't care. That's not your thing. I also I think it's this is what I think BK might maybe will agree with me. Maybe I said maybe. Um, when you're paying a lot for season tickets, yes, I'm gonna bring it back to that. The parade is kind of for you. You know what I mean? It's for the fans, and the fans are what support the team. The fans are who are paying for the team. You know, there a lot of people are putting a lot of money. Maybe they're not that well off, like myself, and they're paying a lot every year to see these games happen. So to me, just from a personal point of view, I found that to be a little lame. I did think it was funny. I don't know whether or not he'll be there tomorrow. I hope he is.
He
I,
is. He said he's already gonna be there. That's not the issue. The
you're right.
point is, he's just like he just upset that he has to go. That's all. He's gonna be there. He just doesn't want to be there.
I just thought it was a weird, personally, I thought it was a weird comment coming from that kind of background from myself. If Steph had said that, I would have been like, what, dude? I'm just saying,
In America,
if he
yeah.
had to do it in the parallel universe, we're Spider-Man, we're in a different one right now. And he says that, I'm like, yo, dude, that's kind of douchey. Like, guess I'm not buying your jersey next season. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my personal thing. Look, I have no dogs in
Yeah.
this race. Bringing it back to the dog thing. Um, I didn't care. I mean, I was joking about the Miami thing. I do like Jimmy Butler. They got beat up. They got beat up bad, pretty much. You know, they tried
Yeah.
that last game. Bam had a great game. It didn't work out. The better man won, and I'll admit to all that's to do. I I just think the parade is something special for the city, for the fans, for the fans in the city. You know, the city does a lot to have these. Some cities, not all cities, do a lot to have these teams, and it also really affects these cities when those teams are taken away, which will be our ending story for tonight's show. So, you know, as a person who's losing all of his local sports teams, you know, those parades mean the world to me. They did. Like, those parades were almost as good as going to the game. I remember when we were at the first parade and we made eye contact with Steph, and he looked back down at us, and I poured out the LeBron Sprite. Addie, I think Addie's in the chat. Addie might remember this. I unscrewed and I poured it out, and I was like, oh, you know, yelled some obscenities. And just the players coming up near us and all of that, like how cool that experience really is. And it's something that I think you won't really understand unless you've literally been there and lived it. And like, remember too, like we were up against the gate. Like we were waking up at 6 a.m. We coincidentally lived down the street from where the parade was happening in Oakland. And we were hiked down there. You couldn't go to the bathroom because you didn't want to lose your spot. You know what I'm saying? We were right up against that gate, dude. And it was something really special those first few. I did not go to the San Francisco one, mainly because I didn't want to deal with all that craziness because I knew how difficult it was to get there and deal with all of it when we lived down the street. So to then commit to doing that in a city a little bit further away, I wasn't gonna about it. I watched it on TV. It was still awesome to watch it on TV. Mr. Fab and Blake from Workaholics were the host of it, which was also awesome. You get these local celebrities to do it too. There's just so much cool stuff that goes on during the parade for your local area. So that's just from my point of view. I think that a great point you've said many times now. He's not from here. He maybe doesn't really understand that and what it will do for the city of Denver. So I understand that, and he's a horseman. I get it. You know.
Well, I think first of all, we want to go to the chat.
Okay,
There's some good stuff here with BK and Addy and stuff. Addy says Jokic is like Daniel Day-Lewis. Acting is just a means to make shoes. If you remember, he became a cobbler. I think it was.
Yes. We all know the
Basketball is a means to train horses. But I like what BK said here, which is how are you going to disrespect your whole team and your whole city that's been pumping you up for years? That's an F you to Denver itself. And then even Addy says, seriously though, that would bum me out as a Denver fan. BK again, the first parade was a dream. And then Addy, I thought the whole point of winning was the parade. You're going to get paid regardless of winning, other than incentive payments. And to that point about the parade, just to bolster their points, JJ Redick, the former NBA player who now is a pretty successful podcast, who's on ESPN as an analyst and stuff. Mm-hmm. He has mentioned how he really misses that. He really, one of the things that he'll probably never get over is him not winning a championship in his career. And he said that one of the things about the championship that experience that he most kind of missed out on is the parade. Like he was like, that is the thing that I was, most looking forward to. So I think the part about the fans and what BK is saying and Addy saying, you're saying, I didn't consider that. I admit, I did not consider that part of it, right? I'm just thinking of it from his point of view, which I think is just he's just thinking to himself, I want to go home. Someone made me do something. And I don't think he's fully considering what this means to everyone else. Yeah. Right? Now, I will say this too about the FU to Denver and all that stuff too. Listen, Denver don't have a fucking championship without him. Mm-hmm. There's no he ain't the sixth guy off the bench. There's a moment when he wins a championship that I won't forget. And it was Popeye Jones, who was one of the assistant coaches on the team. Popeye Jones used to play in the NBA, was one of those role players.
Excellent name.
Yeah, great name. He was kind of known for the name more than even his game, really. Sorry, Popeye. But Popeye Jones is the guy. And he's walking up to Jokic to greet him. And Jokic is, like Addy was referencing in the chat, just kind of dazed and emotionless, throughout it. And Popeye Jones goes up to him and he just says, thank you. He goes, thank you so much. And I thought that was an important moment because a superstar like a Jokic, right? And he's rare, right? Steph is one of those guys, is rare. What you don't realize about those guys too is they change the lives of the people around them. There are basketball lifers, and forget their teammates, coaches who've been around the league for 20 plus years, and their whole lives, those guys want to win a championship. They want to be a part of that. But as it just works out, they never come in to the orbit of one of those great superstars. One of those transcendent guys who can really take you to that point, right? Popeye Jones has been in the league a long time. I don't think he's ever won a championship. He's been a long time, 50 probably years, around the game of basketball. But he was able to win finally. And I can totally understand that feeling of saying thank you to Jokic because without him, it's not possible, right? These superstars change the lives, I think, of a lot of people too. And I think that also has to be considered when you think about it's a fuck you to the city. It's dog, he kind of changed that city's situation too, but that's still their point still holds.
But that's BK's the thing is that
still holds. Yeah, BK's point still holds. I'm not.
I agree with you, Siddhu, and that's why he's out of anyone. Let's be honest, the rest of the team could not go to the parade. It's really him that everyone wants to see. I'm not saying I don't literally mean that, but I'm saying to your point, he won the championship. If it's if Steph, like I said, if Steph doesn't show up. Oh, cool, there's so-and-so. Oh, cool. Granted, we have Clay and we have Draymond. But let's say they weren't there, too. It's do I really want to see the assistant coaches and a few bench players? No, I want to see the guy. I want to see the guy whose jersey I've been rocking this whole season. You know what I mean? So,
No, you're right. People, you're right. People are going to have their favorites in the team. I think you said Paige's favorite player is Clay.
Oh yeah,
right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that your favorite player is Draymond. I'm not. Yeah. I don't know if BK's a Steph or it's one of the other guys, but
I feel like BK's a little bit of everybody. But I mean, I'm also Curry. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Curry guy.
That's what I say. Even though you might like the other guys in the band, right? You still like the lead. The lead is the still key. And the point is, if you were going to even to that parade, as you said, and all the other supporting guys are there. If the main guy isn't there, it's kind of all right, come on, guys. You know what I mean? Where's Freddie Mercury? You know what I mean? Where's he? Where's he
They
at?
they
Like,
still they still play.
I know, but you see my point.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah,
they're
yeah.
pretty much, you know.
Yeah.
So I think so. I get that, but you know, it's so look. He'll be at the parade tomorrow when they have it. We'll see what kind of expressions he gives. I'm sure it won't be too crazy because that's not his personality, and I think that's also
But he has
the
his
bulk of his
brothers.
personality. His brothers will show personality, and they become celebrities in their own right because of just their sheer size and like badassery, you know, whatever, or badassness, I guess. So they'll be there for sure. So it'll be interesting. But like, yeah, I just think the Jokic discussion is so interesting. I mean, look, we know he's great, but I think the personality and the story around him, that I think that's important as we go forward because look, he's just too great to ignore. You know, I think that's the thing I'd say. That's the biggest compliment I can pay him, and also kind of a criticism in there, kind of like you're really great, dude. We can't ignore you, but so that means you kind of got to do a little more. You know what I mean? Like I think we'd all love it if like I've always said like people say being rich and famous is great, right? But I've always said what's being better is just being rich. Right? If you could just cut out the fame part of it and just be rich, that's better than being rich and famous to me. You know what I mean? And I think that's probably what Jokic just wants is without the fame, but you know, he's got to do more. So yeah, that's all. I just want to talk about that a little bit because I was interested in Jokic and just kind of his personality and how people perceive it.
Well, we still have another topic about it. Enough of the parade. I will say those to do if you ever get a chance. You got you got to if you're able to go to one of these, especially if you've gone to games that same season that you end up winning it. I think you have that emotional connection, and then you kind of have a better understanding. But let's move on to a different topic. Still on.
I'd also say it'd be really cool if Jokic brought the horses to the parade. I mean, he can't.
And he had them on the buggy. Yeah.
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 Well, that would be the craziest thing. Like, can you imagine that? That'd be dope. That people would kick out of that at the parade. But you know, he's obviously so also in the chat. So, Addy Rocco is definitely top of my hangout list. Which, if only true Warrior followers would know who Rocco is. Curry at the end of the day, yeah, basketball's too good, but Clay ranks higher on my hangout list. That's interesting. I wouldn't put Clay higher than Steph. I think Steph would be interesting.
No.
He's fun.
He's
actually personality.
Draymond would be a hoot. All right, let's get on
to
Yeah. This is our last. I think this is our. Maybe we have one more topic still with the Denver after this, but yeah. So there was this comment you wanted to discuss real quick.
I just think it's a great comment.
Oh, that's it.
You can read it out.
Okay.
I just think it's an epic comment. I think it's also very true, and should be something that people keep in mind as they go forward. Is this piece of advice from Nikola Jokic? Just don't doubt the fat boy. And so I just wanted to. I thought it's a great quote. That's all I have to say about it. I don't know if you have anything to say, but yeah, that's it.
All right, so I think we are on our. We have. Oh, all right, that was it. We're gonna end the poll. Yeah. We're gonna end the poll. The poll is ending. I think you voted on it, Siddhuey. I know you did.
Yeah.
Of
course.
You can't vote on your own poll, bro. That's kind of that's some Trump stuff right there, bro. Manipulating.
Hey, speaking of, we should do a podcast on him.
No.
No.
100% said hell yeah. That everyone, I think all of our friends in the Overshow family. I'm sorry?
Yeah. Like, who can hate on them? They're just like they're like the Spurs.
Yeah.
Who hates on the Spurs, really?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
So our next topic is about Zion. And this is.
Have you been following this?
This is the OnlyFans girl situation, if I'm not mistaken.
So I hope I don't know if Addy and BK have been following it. So I'll frame it really quick for you. We found out just like a couple weeks ago, randomly, that Zion was having a kid with a woman who, let's just say, a lot of people would question her character. Now I'll say this:
is it confirmed that he is the father?
Yeah, bro. He took pictures at the pregnancy thing.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I've only read the headlines. I'm not super involved.
It's super. It's his child. She's a people look down on her she's a former stripper who has like a child somewhere else. Like she's like almost like her 30s, something like that, and so Zion's not in his 30s. So it's like, that's a, difference there, in age. So he's having a child with her, which is fine. Like there's again, that's not a problem. Okay. But what is a problem is that just now he has had another woman pop up from Dallas, where she like lives, I guess, who is a porn star who is claiming that she was in a relationship with Zion, and that she was moving out to New Orleans, and now all of a sudden this baby news has come up, right? And she's making all of this public. She is talking, and when I say public, I'm talking about graphic details. Like, I was just with you last night, and I was spitting in your mouth, and now you're having a baby with someone else. So it's like very graphic, right? So it's like, and she's posting DMs that like she's had with Zion, text messages, all that kind of stuff. And she has been doing this now for like 5 days straight. Like, it is literally a journal, or like, she's just journaling on social media about this situation with Zion. And Zion's been messaging her back, which is like, dude, what the hell are you doing, right? The bigger part of this thing is Zion.
Wait, real quick. No, Addy, the fat boy story was about was not about Zion. The Zion is the only girl's story,
Yeah.
So don't get confused here. I'm also running a poll of, is Zion the daddy? Yup. I hope so. I don't know. I just thought that was fun.
So anyway, look, who you sleep with is whatever. But here's the thing about this Zion situation that's going to tie into this larger thing that's within that article I sent you, is that Zion, look, Zion has not played a lot of basketball since he's been in the NBA. Okay, he's been mostly injured, and we now come to find out that he has spent most of that time absolutely blowing the backs out of strippers and porn stars. Okay.
I didn't like that analogy, but we'll go with it. We'll go with it. Continue.
That's what he's doing. What am I supposed to say? That's what he's been doing. He's been having children out there, having a grand old time. He's been just out there, right? And the thing that's troubling is not that he's out there, although him not playing basketball is kind of a problem, because like he gets paid to play basketball. And like he's really good at playing basketball when he's out there, so we'd like to see him play. And it's kind of hard because he's just busy doing all that stuff. The other part about this is, when you're one of the top guys in this league, and Zion, when he plays, and he's a number 1 pick, so those guys usually come in with kind of that gravitas of being the next in line. Usually you have a pretty professional operation. And when I mean professional operation, you have guys that keep this shit quiet. Okay? You have people on the roster who know how to keep this stuff from reaching the eyes and ears of someone like me, okay? The fact that you don't have that in place is troubling, because one of the things we know about Zion is, and what we've heard is, like, he's a pretty insular, but his operation isn't the kind of the tightest. We don't know what he really does for his rehab or anything like that, and seeing this kind of stuff leak tells me that his operation isn't very private, or isn't very professional. And a lack of professionalism in that operation does not bode well for the rest of his career, right? About larger things, not just having kids with a bunch of random women and all that kind of stuff. That's just whatever. Which I should also say, Zion comes from South Carolina. Ja Morant comes from South Carolina. The number 1 and number 2 picks in the NBA draft in 2019. And both of them right now are on a path of absolutely flaming out in their careers for different reasons.
Hold on. Lil Wayne has reached out, and he's going to help Ja Morant. So now we got Wayne. We all know I'm a huge Wayne supporter. He's a skateboarder nonetheless. Actually, Andrew Reynolds made a post about him the other day. It was great.
That's going to turn around his life right there.
He's going to get Ja Morant on a skateboard instead of a gun. It's going to be all right. We're all good here. Wheezy, baby. Let's go.
I like that BK appreciate our segue from fucking
Yeah.
Gio to
That,
Zion.
that that wasn't on
Um,
purpose too. That was just how it
yeah.
all kind of went on the list here. So
We'll say we planned it because we're professional like that.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
We're,
yeah,
we're all smooth and shit.
yeah.
But like, so look, he has this stuff with him and the women. Like, bro, there are plenty of players who do stuff like this. Like, we just don't hear about it because they're just a little bit smarter about keeping it under wraps, right? You're not, obviously, Zion. You're a dumbass, just like your fellow South Carolinian, Ja Morant. But like, the bigger thing is, if this is what you're doing during your rehab, bro, when are you gonna play again? And if you're not going to be playing anytime soon, or we can't trust you to ever do the right things off the court necessary to win, then it's like, how should we entrust our franchise into you? Right? That is a larger question. And like, look, think about all the top guys. We know how maniacal Steph Curry is, how he works in the off season, how he gets his body in shape. LeBron that brags to us. We even know the dollar value of how much LeBron spends every year on his body. $1 million. We get it, LeBron. You spend a lot. Okay. Jokic, we've heard about how he changed his entire diet and how he's gone really into pushing his his workouts and off-season regimen, and he's been in the best shape of his life. You know what I mean? And we've seen that
He cut out all the horse meat.
Cut out the horse meat, went vegan. You know what I mean? And then Giannis, another person who works really hard. Like with those top guys, they're machines. Like they are machines. You do not get to that top level without being a machine in how you perform.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If Zion's going to be one of those guys, like, I'm sorry, bro, you're going to have to be that kind of machine, especially considering that you're kind of naturally fat,
Wow.
and like,
wow.
You are.
We say, dude, hold on. We say big boned on here, bro.
He's big boned it. Okay. And because of that, he puts a lot of stress on his feet, which he's had a lot of foot injuries already. Right. So him not being in shape is a problem. And the reason I bring this up, this whole porn star stuff and all this, beyond the fact that it's funny that he's just, from South Carolina, he's screwing up. His mom is a church-going lady who now has to go to church and have a bunch of other black women whispering behind their back, can you believe what her son is doing out there, right? She doesn't want to hear that. There's a lot of nonsense that she has to deal with for this. But the bigger question is, and
maybe they're Mormon, and then it's all goody.
They are not. I can promise you that. She is probably like Southern Baptist. I think that's what it is, and she's probably like a traditional church lady who's like, where did I go wrong with this boy? She's probably right now at church on a Wednesday praying to God, where did I go wrong with my boy Zion? I named him Zion. She's probably thinking, I literally gave him a church name, and look at this boy. You know what I mean? She's probably upset. But the reason this is all talked about is that there's a rumor, and I don't think it's going to happen, but the Pelicans would trade Zion Williamson for the third pick in the draft to go take Scoot Henderson.
Oh, Scoot.
Yeah, it's a great name.
Yeah.
It's who will be NBA draft is next Thursday, I believe. And so they want to go and draft him. Now they're probably not going to do that. Zion has shown too much in his limited amount of time for you to actually trade this man. But I do believe they're thinking about trading him at some point. And I do believe that is a conversation that they've had. Should we build around this player who has been talked about? As one, look, he gets injured all the time, right? His off-the-court activities are not ones that we would probably want our kids, to know about, right? Like sell to families. It's not really that great. And third, and we know this too, he's not that great of a teammate. Zion is known as kind of shut off from teammates, who doesn't engage with people, who doesn't really try to talk to them at all, just kind of like off to his own thing, which may be fine for the 11th or the 12th guy on the roster, not so much for the first guy. There's a reason why KD, Kevin Durant, has not been successfully able to lead a team to a title by himself, because I didn't know if you didn't hear if I said KD. So
no. Addy has a good comment right now.
Let's go to Addy's comment.
Well, Addy said a bunch of stuff, and he also commented how we're only reading from the bottom, but his newest comment's the funniest. He said, look closely. Zion's necklace is higher than the cross, so he holds himself higher than God. His other comments were funny, but that one right there, I really enjoyed that. I'm sorry to stop you, Siddhu, but that was
That's
a
great,
fire.
actually.
That was a fire
That's
comment
actually,
because I honestly had thought the
yeah.
same. I noticed that as well. I was like, that's weird. But yeah, continue on, Siddhu. My apologies.
Yeah. So I like how you're showing Zion right now that with this feeling up on that lady.
Well,
So
it makes
yeah,
the most sense with the topic we're on. You know, is the best
yeah,
photo.
that kid's gonna be a wide body. But look,
It could be,
that's
yeah, yeah.
well, unless we don't actually we don't know if hers is natural, so we don't know for sure. But um,
Oh, I wasn't
this
thinking that, but yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
true too. But the Zion thing, it's like, yeah, we don't. Anyway, look, I don't think they're going to trade him. But the point is, they are going to think about it. I think that is going to be a discussion in their head. Like, should we trade this dude because we may not be able to trust his health, his injury history, all the stuff with his teammates, everything like that, right? So the Zion thing is really interesting to me. And I think the 2019 draft in general, we're going to come to John Morant probably next week because Adam Silver told us during the finals that I have big John Morant news. But I don't want to say it during the finals because I don't want to distract you.
Yeah,
Well, the finals are over.
yeah.
So is he waiting until after the draft now? Like at what point does he just say, like, bro, you got to tell us what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a frustrated like partner in a relationship. Like, you got to communicate with me. You have to talk to me.
But
I can't read your mind.
look, Sadu, this kind of goes back to our soccer conversation and stuff. All of these sports are fighting for the top dog slot. All the major sports are. They want to be the most talked about sport. So I
And
think,
no one's gonna beat the NFL.
hold on. I think to keep the subject still about the NBA, they'll let the draft happen. That because that gives you a couple days worth of talk on the news, and then they drop the other news so that they still are in the news cycle.
Yeah, but this is what I would say if I was the Memphis Grizzlies organization, right? You owe it to me to let me know how long he's out, so that might change my draft strategy.
They
It might change
already.
my draft strategy,
Oh,
right?
I was gonna say they might
If I
already
know,
know, but maybe you're right. Maybe
no,
they don't.
but if I know, if you're telling me he's going to be out for 50 games, let's say, which is pretty much the entire season. I'm not saying he's going to be out 50 games. Let's say 50 games.
I heard it was 20, but yeah.
Right. I don't know. I don't where it'll be, but whatever it is, then I might say, well, I might use a second round draft pick on a point guard. Like, I might need to take a flyer on someone who can handle the ball if I'm going to be out 20 games with this guy or whatever it might be. Like, I don't think they should be punished for the John Morant's like being an idiot.
BK has a great suggestion, real quick. BK's saying, why don't they send Zion to play with John Morant? I like that. I like that.
That's pretty good. That would be the most. Can you believe that a team with those two guys might be more dysfunctional than a team with James Harden on it? Like, normally we would associate James Harden with teams with dysfunction, but maybe this one would top that list.
Or
But
Kyrie.
in any case, I mean, yeah, he's out there. But in any case, I think, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with him, but I do think that the Grizzlies should get word of this officially from the NBA prior to the draft to help them inform their draft strategy if need be, and their free agency strategy.
But maybe that's part of the penalty. Maybe the NBA is saying, you know what, Memphis, this is what you get. Maybe I'm just throwing out. I'm playing.
Yeah, maybe they say you weren't strong enough on him in the first place, and now we get to come down on him. So this is the double kind of punishment on that. Maybe, but to me, it's whatever. In any case, the 2019 draft has issues.
We'll get to that next week when we have more information, and we'll dive more into that. We have one last basketball subject.
Okay.
And this actually goes back to the finals, the NBA finals. BK's favorite boxer or UFC fighter, and I only say this because BK was rooting for this guy when he boxed against my favorite boxer, Money Mayweather. He punched the bejeebus out of this poor character. I mean, that guy's knocked out clean with that first punch.
Did you see what the people were alleging that he was on drugs when he did that?
Oh, I'm sure, dude. I'm gonna say this.
Like, you know,
I personally think this dude sucks, Conor
I hate
McGregor.
him. I hate him. I personally.
And I know, people have issues with Mayweather and yada yada yada. I find
I
Mayweather
hate
to
him
be
too.
amusing. I know
I
you
hate
do,
him
but this guy. I go back to
too.
when he was throwing the chairs. I mean, is he funny in some interviews? Sure, he has his moments, but I mean, this just kind of icing's the cake, in my opinion, of just that second punch. Classic UFC right there, in my
So
opinion. Just, oh my good, the guy's out. Boom, hits him again.
so
It's just ridiculous, dude.
so ridiculous, dude. Like it's violent. Like it's just yeah. I don't have much to say other than like I don't know what you cause you can't do anything about it. He's just like it's like a halftime thing, but it's like it's just ridiculous. Like, and why is Conor McGregor still a thing? Isn't he like kind of retired from the
Nah,
UFC? As far as I
nah,
understand, like,
he's doing the TV series that leads into him fighting a match at the end of the year.
oh, okay, never
Yeah,
mind then. That's
yeah.
probably why he's still around. Okay, well, I thought he was like a washed up dude and like it was
After
over.
that leg break, that infamous
Yeah, that's
leg
what I
break,
thought.
ooh, that was a brutal one too. I mean, like, look, it's a shame because when he is doing the interviews with the other people, he is amazing. But it's the other little things he does outside of that that really takes it to another level where you're like, dude, whoa. But I think the other thing is that these UFC guys, they really take a beating in the actual matches themselves
Yeah.
and training for the matches. So their heads are not necessarily in the best place. And I'm not trying to make an excuse for them, but it is just true. Like, that is a brutal sport. Like, boxing is gnarly.
Yeah.
UFC is insane. Like, it really is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, in the chat, BK was saying like, yeah, I saw the story, really poor form, fucked up. He's terrible. So is Mayweather. Agree. And Addy, supposedly the punch was planned ahead of time, but I think he accidentally made facial connection on the first or second punch.
well, the first one.
See, the first one, but I mean that's still kind of hard though, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's the thing. Yeah, I knew it was planned.
promo for a pain relief spray is what Addy was saying, and in the longer clip you can see the dude spraying the mascot. But maybe he could have just not given him so much pain. Like he needs like 7 bottles of that goddamn spray now, dude. Like you just got Jesus,
But I think McGregor does this on purpose. I hate to say it, but I think the whole thing was on purpose.
That, like, bro. One of the things there was this interview I was watching a little while ago, and it was like this lightweight boxer, a middleweight, like someone small, like probably like my size, right? Like my size kind of guy, right? Like in terms of my like 140, 150 kind of weight, whatever, right? It is like 5'9", something like that. But he's a boxer, so obviously he's far more like built than I am and shit, right? And he was talking to this dude who was like this big, just a bigger man, a bit like Fats' his size or larger, right? That kind of thing. And they were doing a podcast, and the guy, the larger man, was like, "If me and you were like fighting, like how would that work?" Like, because I think I'm so much bigger than you, I would like not knock you out, but like I could like, you wouldn't be able to beat me, whatever. And the dude was like, "Listen, if I punch you, like, cause people don't realize like not many people can actually take a real punch, Like people don't know how to actually punch, except like boxers who train and like do that stuff, or UFC people. You know what I mean?" So it's like, bro, if I actually punched you, like, I could kill you. Like that's not like that's because I know actually how to hit someone. So I think that and that's true, by the way. Like I agree that boxers actually know how to hit, and if they are to hit you, like that's gonna be like if a boxer my size were to straight hit me in my face, like I'd die probably, or like get like severe brain hemorrhaging or something. You know what I mean? So knowing that, like Conor McGregor, dude, why are you hitting this man so hard? Like you have actual danger in those fists, But he never came across to me. Mayweather's the same way. They never came across to me as people that had like a soul, like that were decent human beings. They just seemed like they're characters, like they're like boxing or wrestling characters. You know what I mean?
Right, and they dive too far into it, and they almost get lost in the sauce.
like Kanye. Like they are the persona.
Whoa, let's
They are the persona.
Whoa, Kanye got way too lost in the sauce. I mean, there's lost in the sauce and there's fully like submerged in it, just swimming around, you know?
There's like lost in the sauce, then there's like being like quantum mania in the sauce. Like you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you're just
yeah.
like it's micro size.
Yeah.
The sauce is like it's just too much, you know?
It's like a full tank of sauce and he's just
Yeah.
he's got scuba gear in there and stuff. He's living in it, dude. Yeah, that's a wild one. So I asked the chat. I think we're 100%. I'm going with, should the mascot get to kick McGregor in the balls and some cash? Yup or nah? And I think that's the real question here, because the mascot should get something. And I'm saying national news. I think that the mascot, before McGregor's fight, right before his fight, in front of the UFC stadium, he comes out in the mascot outfit and he gets to kick him in the balls real quick. And then McGregor's got to fight right afterwards. You embarrassed me on my court, let me embarrass you in your octagon. You know what I'm saying? Like, why not?
Or Conor McGregor might die in the ring. Then you know what I mean? It's so fucked up.
I mean, after that leg break, I'm surprised.
I don't know why
I'm surprised he's doing it, dude. He's rich.
Dude,
he's rich as could be.
That assumes he saved the money.
No, he's rich as could be. I'm almost positive he's rich as could be. He also owns alcohol brands. I think he invested well. He's rich as couldn't be, dude. From my understanding, unless that's all a front and there's some evil stuff going behind the scenes. Because like we were talking about the Zion thing, a lot of these players get surrounded by agents and different things that maybe are taking a little bit of cuts and stuff. I wanted to mention this with the Zion, is that maybe part of the Zion issue is that his crew, like you mentioned earlier, surrounding him, maybe he should reevaluate some of those people, because maybe they're not doing a good job hushing his situations.
Can you do better?
Yeah. Well, and he needs to do better on a personal level. There's a little bit of both there. But I wanted to throw in this McGregor thing because I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Not for the poor mascot, but just the situation at hand. So that's all we needed to say about that. We can move right on to that.
Sorry, gotta read the chat. So, like BK said, it was definitely planned. Yeah, he just went way too hard, didn't pull a punch at all.
Yeah,
Addy, the producer guy, is a real boxer, not a stunt man. But here's the best one: rather than kick Conor in the balls, all the other NBA mascots have to get punched in the face to even it out.
That's wild.
That's so great.
That's wild. Like at least one of them. The thing is those mascots, some of them are probably like female. Some of them are probably female as well. Like I don't know.
Well, sorry, bro. You're gonna get knocked out.
I don't think that's. I mean, maybe. I guess. All right. Anyway, we'll end the poll here. It seems 100%. We're at 100%. Everyone agrees Conor McGregor should get kicked in the balls and give some cash. Our last NBA thing. Is or WNBA.
Oh yeah.
Is and the reason I cannot get this to sit correctly. Yo, chill. Be easy, computer. Whoa. All right. It's not letting me. Okay, we'll just leave it like this. The main reason I put this in there is I think me and you, I can't remember if we talked about this on the show or off the show. I had said that I thought it was just surprising how much, of course, we heard about Britney while she was in Russia being held captive or in jail. And we hadn't really seen too much coverage about her since she had come home. So when I saw this article pop up or whatever, this post, I was like, oh, wow, this is a perfect one to pull up for the show because it's an interesting story. We also, of course, we're live right now on YouTube. So we are a part of the YouTube world. And on top of that, it's about Britney. So it was a double dipper in the sauce.
Yeah, no. You're right. It's interesting because, so just the background of the story, Brittany Griner was at an airport with the rest of her WNBA team. And if you're asking why was she in the general public, it's because WNBA flights for the most part are not chartered. And I'll get to that in a second. It's an important point here. And then the person who ran up on her was some conservative YouTube personality who I'm not going to dignify by mentioning his name because who gives a fuck.
Do you know the name?
He was in the article. I know I've read an article about him. I don't know.
No, we don't got to say who it is. No.
anyway, he's some conservative, YouTube host, and he ran up on her and like harassed her, basically, right? Now we can, I mean, look, we obviously know that these types of radio host types of guys, your InfoWars groups of people, are not obviously great people, right? But to me, the more interesting thing is WNBA flights not being chartered. Um, I understand why they haven't done it. It's just a money thing for a long time, right? It's just like the WNBA. I mean, like, I don't mean I'm not trying to be like sexist or anything. I'm just saying, like,
No, Addie said something wild about me being sexist about the punching of the mascots. Conor
okay,
McGregor should not be punching female mascots in the face, regardless. But it was, I guess I was being a little sexist. Maybe he should. Go on, Siddhuey, please.
but like WNBA flights aren't chartered because WNBA, I think at this point, it does not make money right now as a league. I think that the NBA still has to subsidize it. I might be wrong on that. I have not double checked. I think that's the case.
It's been like that in the years previously, so that is a good assumption.
Yeah, so I think it's still the case now. So now it's growing. It's certainly growing, and I think there's hopes it'll continue to grow. So I think there's a money thing that hasn't been the case. But these WNBA players, especially Brittany Griner, given what she's gone through, as you kind of like laid out at the beginning, like bro, she's somewhat of a target in a sense. Like she's somewhat of a celebrity figure that probably should not be, with no security just going through an airport. And I think for a lot of these women too, like they're starting to reach some sort of levels of like the Las Vegas team, the team that just won the championship last year in the WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces. They have some pretty famous players on their team now. They're like kind of like a super team. They're like kind of what the Warriors were in 2017 with Durant. Like they're kind of that team right now in the WNBA. They're coached by that woman Becky Hammon, who remembers this was assistant coach of the Spurs with Pop.
Oh yeah.
So she's their coach. Like they have a big time coach, right? They've got like 4 or 5 of like the top 20 players in the league, right? One of whom, Aja Wilson, was the last year's MVP. I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. I think it's Aja Wilson. And then they have this woman Kelsey Plum, who is married to a former Raiders player, Darren Waller, and is considered by many kind of like as the prettiest WNBA player in the league or something. So she's reached a certain level of fame, and women like that, they shouldn't be flying regular. Like I don't know how they can make that work, but they need to be protected. Like someone like a woman like a Kelsey Plum and these types of players, like they need some protection, I think, from the general public. But I understand it's like how do you do that when there's not money, you know what I mean? Like I don't know how you get to that point, but I think something needs to be done to provide those players a little more safety. That's what I'd say in the Brittany Griner situation. So yeah.
And are we positive that they don't have security?
If you could, they probably have very light security, but not like the kind of security that Brittany Griner would probably, like, you know what I mean? Like someone in that same position would probably need, I think.
Yeah.
Also, Addie said if you can give birth, you can take a hit from old McGregor.
Yeah, I saw that. And he also said Brittany Griner should be Britney Spears for Halloween. They should swap roles for Halloween. Yeah.
That's good. I like it.
He's firing off tonight on all cylinders. He's dipped himself in the sauce, I think. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to pull the article out because it was just interesting, with everything that's gone on for her in the past year.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. She's still having to deal with stuff, even here now in the USA. So
yeah,
it is what it is. I'm surprised they don't try to catch up with her in like a conservative state and search her bags to see if she has weed on her so they could arrest her in a conservative state. Just throwing that out there.
Maybe she learned her lesson, hopefully, and she's not carrying shit, but yeah.
She's got like somebody else carrying it for her or something, yeah.
Well, that's even assuming in the first place that she was carrying in the first place in Russia. It could have been planted. We don't know. Only Russia reported that.
Yeah, true.
True.
Look, true. 100%, yeah. Yeah. All right, well, there's enough of that. Our final little tidbit, and I think we'll save this story more for next week when we talk. We finally get to talking to baseball. I think we'll do next week. But this
Okay.
happened last night. Oakland fans came out in a big way last night and threw things on the field and let the owners know that they want them to sell. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's not off the table right now that they could, and I'm staying hopeful, obviously. They could, in fact, still stay because nothing's officially been signed in Vegas, from what I've read.
Yeah, nothing's official, but I mean,
It doesn't look good, but
okay.
you
And
know,
like and to this, and by the way, on this point about what happened last night, I think this was one of the busiest days in BART as well. By the way, there was a report about that and actually how people go into the A's game like really, gave BART really high, numbers over that day. Uh, Interesting on that point though, too, but like them selling the team. Even if they sold the team, bro, whoever buys it's not keeping it here.
I mean, we don't know
Like
that for a fact.
we don't know that for a fact, but like we kind of know. Because like the harsh reality is this: like billionaires don't want to spend their own money and put up a team and spend all their own money and like put the stadium in some place. Like unless they know that place is going to be highly lucrative, right? For example, the Rams, I believe, did not use public funding and created SoFi Stadium. It made sense. They're the first NFL team. They're the NFL team in LA. That's going to be a huge revenue generator for them,
I like how you
right?
step back from saying first because once again another Oakland team had also been taken away from us and was in
Yeah,
LA at one point in time. Kind of a crazy
yeah.
coincidence there.
But like the point is they would do that because like they know they're going to make a bunch of money on that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's just whatever.
No, I already know where you're going with this, Stu.
And I feel bad because I firmly believe, and maybe I'm just living in a fantasy world, as I'm known to do. But what I would say is what I believe is like it's almost like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Like to me, it's like if you treat I say us like as like the fan base with like the care that I think a fan base deserves. Like you put up a good stadium. You give us something where it's like we want to be at the ballpark. You care about the team to the point that like our favorite players don't get sold, they don't get traded the minute that they're good. Like you hold on to them. You build a culture around this team, right? Why can't it be successful? Well, you don't think the A's can be? I think there's a market enough for the A's. Now, do I think the A's would become one of the top 5 to 10 most powerful franchises in Major League Baseball? No, but I don't think they would be, sitting in 32nd or whatever. How many teams? I think it's 32,
Well,
32.
but of all time, we are in the top 10. I think we're even in the top 5 of championships.
Right, but I'm talking about revenue,
Right.
right?
Yeah, okay.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about revenue,
Right.
right?
Revenue. That's a different. That's a different
Revenue has,
subject.
yeah, revenue has very little to like. Look, the Boston Red Sox, prior to them winning that title in '04, I think it was '04, '03, '04, right? Prior to that point, they were still one of the most profitable teams in all of baseball. They didn't need to win the title for that. The Cubs have been one of the most profitable teams in baseball without winning anything. Like it's about the market that you're in. The A's will never be the Giants. They're never going to make that kind of money. It's just that money and that kind of white collar money too that's behind the Giants. Like they're not getting that, right? But that doesn't mean you have to sit in the bottom of baseball, right? You can be in like 17th, 16th. You know what I mean? Like you can, and that's good enough. That's good enough to have a very lucrative franchise for an owner, right? But I believe that for them to get to that point, they have to put up lots of money, like lots of money. And I don't know what person's going to have the want to build something in Oakland. Right? Like it has to be someone that has ties to Oakland. It has to be like you or me all of a sudden had like $500 billion, and like
Build
did
it
it.
in Concord.
Definitely do it. Move the skate park out. It's
No,
perfect.
nah, that's not the right zone. You go over in North Concord, where the weapons station was. I swear,
I'm
Addy
not
had
putting
told
on the
me,
boonies.
huh?
Like my thing is, see, look, my dream, which is more of a fantasy because it'll never happen for the A's. My fantasy for the A's basically is like you build it, around downtown Oakland, right? It's on the waterfront or something. Like, it's
Jack London, not downtown.
London, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack London. Like it's around there, right? Like so the point is, like, if we want to go to a game, right, we can make it a whole fucking like day of it. We can be out in Oakland, chilling, doing our thing. We could go out and get food, around there. Like it's a whole like it's about not just the ballpark, but it's about Oakland as a
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that to me is what my fantasy of the A's would be. You know what I mean? And I would go to more games if that was the case, even if I don't care about baseball.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, I get it, dude. I've been to quite a few other stadiums and stuff, and clearly the best stadiums are when they're in the heart of the city. We all know that, especially if they're surrounded by other things to be done. I agree. Back to my Concord comment. If you build it in Concord, you get Pittsburgh, you get Antioch, you get all the blue collar zones, you get the Brentwood, you got the Concord, you get all of the Delta, you get all of the Delta, all of those Deltinians get to come out the water
Deltites,
and come on into the game, bro.
Deltanese.
The major issue is the size of the stadium is clearly too large. It was Al Davis and the Raiders' fault. They built the back end of it, which used to be completely different if you go look up photos and stuff. That's definitely part of the issue. Clearly also the Giants in a decade ago in their whole little run, their dynasty that they had, took away a lot of our fan base. A lot of people jumped ship, things of that nature. It's fine. I get it. I totally understand. It's heartbreaking because out of all the sports teams that I love here in the Bay Area, I love the A's the most. I used to watch the games with my grandpa. I used to go to the games with my grandpa. It holds a special place for me. I know a lot of us feel the same way about them and the crew. It's just a shame. It would be a bummer. I always support the A's because that is my team through and through. They moved to Vegas. The other thing to me is that, like, you know what? If they're gonna go anywhere, I'm fine with them going to Nevada because they don't have a team. If they go to a state that already had a sports team, I'd be like, well, that's lame. Like that's. I'm just saying if they have to go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around accepting it, Siddhuey. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, all right, if they have to go. But I love seeing this. I just wanted to put it in there. My older sister texted me last night. She was at the game. She had a photo of my nephew. He was wearing the Cell shirt. He's a big baseball fan, and they're big A's fans. He's pretty heartbroken about the whole situation as well. I don't know. For me, it's my whole family's A's fans. Football. Obviously I'm a Raider fan. The rest of my family's 49er fans. We're on different pages on that, but with baseball, we've always all been A's fans. BK's our one dark horse who's the Giants fan. Out of our whole, like, pretty much all our friends group, it's really mainly BK. Smalls used to jump around. Is Smalls a Pirates fan? Is he a Giants fan?
Yeah.
It depends on who was doing better that season, what fan Smalls was. BK, I will give props to. BK's been Giants through and through since day. Well, Sox as well.
Yeah, Red Sox too. But yeah, I mean, and I know he's like the Giants for a long time. I think also, Addy made a good point. There was an ESPN article. He said, I'm stoked the ESPN article today mentioned the owner's shenanigans are the reason for the low attendance at the A's game, not because fans don't care anymore. And he's right. It was like there wasn't an article about the A's on that. And yeah, man, I just think,
But that was the whole point of yesterday.
Yeah, and I think, and he also said SF moving their team to Sac stole all the Delta folk. A farm team,
the River Cats. Yeah. And that's in the last 10 years as well. We could add that to the list of where they've gone wrong, but
I mean, and also, look, I think the thing with the A's that bums me out a little bit more than, obviously, I'm a fan, but the A's to me are a really iconic team, and maybe it's just me being biased, but
no.
This is the reason I say that. Their color scheme is different, and it's fucking cool no matter who you are. Their throwbacks and shit, they hit, bro. and that stuff matters, right? The presentation, like how you look, especially in baseball, where
The
they have the
elephant
best
with the sunglasses.
dude. They look, baseball jerseys are the best jerseys for a normal person to wear.
Eh,
They have the most utility. Because
eh.
football jerseys are just too long and like they're too big. It's like you can't really wear that stuff, right? Basketball you could wear, but you kind of got to be in decent shape, you
Soccer.
know.
Soccer
But
jerseys, they're the best to
soccer
wear,
jerseys,
bro.
they are, but a lot of people have complaints that there are too many ads on them, right?
True, true,
There's a segment of the population that doesn't like to have too many ads on them. They don't want to be a walking billboard,
true,
right?
true.
That knocks it down a little bit.
It
Hockey
does.
jerseys are their own, like they only like cold weather. You can't really wear those things, out in
But
warm weather too much.
well, unless you're Kevin Smith and you're hiding your body shaming
Sure.
yourself.
Okay. Sure.
But real quick,
Sure.
the
But,
soccer jerseys when you skate in them and stuff, dude, they're like the most
mm,
breathable T-shirt. I
yeah.
have 3 of them, and I'm telling you, dude, I love. Like I rarely wear my A's jersey. I have one. I only wear it to games because it's a little heavy. I would never get caught dead skating in it. Also, I don't want to mess it up. My soccer jerseys, though, dude, I love skating in those
Look,
things.
I'm with you. Soccer is number one for me because I think they fit really well. Like the shirt, they're just regular shirts.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
look great. Like
yeah,
if you find a good soccer jersey, I mean, granted, I'm always looking at them. Like, bro, they just look amazing.
yeah,
Like, and
and they
they just look
feel
good on-
they
they feel
feel
good.
good. Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
they feel breathable and like, yeah, I get all that. But I think like I said, baseball has no ads. I think it appeals to the largest amount of people. But in any case, the A's jerseys are just fucking epic, right? Like the logo, the whole color scheme. They've won a lot. They've had iconic players. Iconic players have come through this franchise. Like, yes, Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco have been shamed, but the joy that they brought to baseball as a whole, not just to the local market, like that matters. Like that is a part of baseball that will be remembered.
Say the name. Say the name that really matters.
So what?
Say the name that really mattered.
The Bash Brothers? What do you mean? Like
There was
who's
he
Eckersley?
used to the Bernie
Raleigh
Lean. The
Fingers?
Bernie Lean.
Jerry?
No, nope.
Ricky Henderson?
His name is Coco, and he was the greatest Oakland A's player of all time. Purely
He
based
was
around what he did for the fanship and a downtime. I give all props to Coco. I also like to give a shout out. We're just going to do a quick shout out here. I'd like to give it to Reddick as well. Reddick was awesome. Man, me and Fats got to see some great games with him. I just want to give a shout out to those 2 dudes because those were 2 of my favorite players after, that I really got to attend the games in my 20s and get to enjoy seeing them. Was definitely Coco, Reddick. Were 2 of my favorites. Coco, just when that song would hit and he'd come up to bat, and the fans would start doing the Bernie Lean. Man, I've been there with Big Ron. Big Ron would be going nuts, Just some really, like that's the thing too for me is I've had so many good memories in that stadium, even if they were to move. And I know I stand alone on this subject, and we got to wrap up the show. But I stand alone on this subject because I know Addy and Fats both, are like that stadium. They're over it.
mm,
I love that stadium. I really do. I know it's a piece of junk. I know the bathrooms flood in some of the zones. I know that there's a lot of issues. The food's gone straight to garbage. But man, do I love that stadium. Like there's nothing. The minute we walk in and you see the art on the walls of those players you've mentioned, of Rally Fingers and all the guys, the Bash Bros and all that, it's just so iconic to me. I've gone to quite a few Giants games over the years. And their stadium is beautiful. It's very nice and clean. It doesn't feel like it has that history that you get when you go into Oakland Coliseum. It just doesn't, Also because our stadium, we beat them in it for a world championship. So, we also have that in the 89 earthquake. And, that's the other thing I'll say just to end all this to do is if we do end up moving, maybe it's for the best because that will make it impossible for us to ever lose a Battle of the Bay.
fair. That's true. That's true. We win.
That's
We win.
my 2B spin on it. Is it then it's just like, well, that's that. You never got the chance.
Can't win the Battle of the Bay.
That was that. But to go back to your Jack London thing, because I wanted to say this too, but we were talking. It would be phenomenal if they were at Jack London because now that the Giants actually are on the waterfront, right? If the A's were actually on the waterfront, the old Battle of the Bay poster, right, had both teams on the waterfront like that, on each side of the bridge. And if they actually moved to Jack London, that
Dude,
poster would become a reality.
that would
It's
be
just
dope.
crazy to think about that. I don't think that's going to happen, but it
No.
would be crazy if that were to happen. Um, and I'm not here to bash on any situation. I will say I will not be switching over to fanship for the other team. Um,
Mm.
but I just think, last night was phenomenal. I give a shout out to all the fans who went out there and really showed the ownership that we're still here and we've been here. I mean, I think about a couple years back ago, it was it was the twins' birthdays, Addie and Austin, and the A's were in the wild card game. We got tickets to go. We sat up on Al Davis Tower. That's how packed that stadium was. And that was what, if you're still in the chat, that was what, 4-5 years ago? Maybe it was a little longer. I can't think of when that wild card game was. But man, that place was packed. It was insane. And it wasn't that long ago. I'm within the last decade.
Yeah,
So
but I think I've been to those games with you, maybe.
well,
So those,
this was a wild card game. We've been to
yeah,
games together.
yeah, we went to a playoff game where they swept the Twins. I don't think that was Addie's birthday or the Twins' birthday. We went to that one.
The
Um,
Twins playing the Twins.
yeah, the Twins playing the Twins. I don't think it was that. We went to the one where in the playoffs where they played not the Twins, the Royals. I want to say.
Okay.
Who were the Tigers? The Tigers.
Tigers. Oh,
We were there for the Tigers one.
I was getting into it with fans and yelling at random people. Fats was getting upset with me one time.
The Tigers one was kind of crazy.
I
But
hate
yeah,
it.
like
Verlander, bro. Fucking
hate that guy, dude.
Verlander, bro. Oh man, don't get me started.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. Is
I
I'll
hate him as a
openly admit
person.
I don't watch like I used to. I used to watch.
Hate him, yeah, hate him as a person too. But yeah, just to wrap up on this, like I know I want to get going too, but like, yeah, man, gonna miss the Coliseum for sure. Especially, I think Addie said it really well. Like, love the Coliseum, the parking lot, and that walkway from Bart. Like that Bart, when you like as a kid, like I mean, we can wax I guess poetic on this in the next week episode, but like that thing as a kid, when you finally get off the Bart, we took Bart a lot to go to the games.
Yeah.
Sure, you did too.
Yeah.
When we were as a kid, you get off Bart, you obviously you walk, you descend, then you climb right to get up to the walkway, and like that climb up when okay, we're gonna be there. Like there's this great feeling in you. It's like, man, I'm about to go to the Coliseum, go watch a game, and you cross that walkway. It's cramped. Everyone's selling shit on the side. There's always people selling stuff in that walkway. Like it's just a romance of going to the game, man. Like
firework nights.
Firework nights, Star Wars nights,
yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's
Yeah.
it's gonna be sad when they officially move out, which I just think won't be for a couple of years at least. But yeah.
Yeah. But we'll talk more about it next week. I just wanted to bring it up because it was literally last night this all went down, and it was worthy of talking about. Yeah, that one was the Sonny Gray one was good too. Yeah, Sonny Gray, man, that was another great player.
Yeah, that Sonny Gray
That
one.
was another great one.
Yeah, that was
so many good times at the stadium. So many good times at the stadium. And all the Battle of the Bays. Like I know Beaks. Like we've gone to quite a few Battle of the Bay games too, preseason as well as in the regular.
Those were intense.
Those were always fun. Especially if we won. Yeah.
I only went to the Battle of the Bay, the Coliseum. I never went to the ones at the Giants.
Neither have I. Neither have I. I my thing, and like my sister has, and she'll like rock A's gear to the Giants stadium. She'll also just rock Giants gear. She's a flip flopper. I don't feel comfortable doing that one. I don't.
No.
I'm not gonna rock Giants gear, but I'm gonna rock no gear. That's what I do. I rock no gear. Now, if the A's move out of the state, and then we play the A's versus Giants, I will rock my gear. Because at that point, it will be the only time of the year I can rock all my gear. and I have so many jackets. I have so much A's gear. I probably have. I might have more A's gear than I have Warriors gear. No, that's not true. I have so many
Yeah.
jerseys. That's
You have like a lot of Warriors. You have a lot of Warrior jerseys. You
yeah,
sure about
but
that?
I do. I do. I have a lot of Warriors jerseys. A lot of them I've never even worn though. They still have the tags on. But with the A's, I have I have all the crazy jackets. I got a million hats. I have the socks. I
Yeah.
have the sweatshirts. I got bottom. I'm not scared, BK. You know what, Beaks? When they move to Vegas, first game they come home, first game they come back. Let me change that. We'll go Beaks, and I will go head to toe A's out. I will go head to toe A's out. No, and it's not about being scared. I think it's a respect thing. I don't want to do that. I just don't think that's right. And a little bit scared. We all know how you Giants and Dodgers fans like to stab each other. Like, let's not get into it. Am I right? Like, there's been some horror stories, man. I'm not getting stabbed by a Giants fan. Come on
Giants.
now, Giants fan. All right, enough about that. It was a great episode. Congrats to the Denver Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens next year. Will they make a return? It'll be interesting. And what will happen to the Miami Heat is really, I think, a big question. Because they definitely need to fix some things up there. And other than that, congrats to Zion on his baby. And we'll wrap it up there with the end of the show.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. Addy, Beaks,
Later,
always a pleasure.
MK.
Fats, hopefully you got home safe.
Where was he at?
I don't know. He said he was driving on I-80.